You know, here's the interesting thing. The economic data really kind of flashes very mixed recession signals. And I'm going to go through a couple points here which will kind of illustrate why some people say we're in a recession and some people say, no, we're not in a recession. First thing, in August, the jobs report showed an additional 315 jobs. And at first glance, we're going to say that that looks positive, but this is actually the lowest gain since April 2021. Now, secondly, and this is an important thing, and I think this got missed by a lot of people, and that is June and July's jobs numbers, they were revised down by 170,000 jobs. Again, that's a negative right there, and it kind of spells, or it leans towards the argument of us being in a recession. Now, you've got the unemployment rate ticked up a little bit. You know, it's slightly above the 3.5 we had in June, which, quite frankly, was one of the lowest rates on record since 1969. So that is a positive. Generally, when you're in a recession, you don't have unemployment this low. And then the worker pay grew. It grew by 5.2%. And that's a pretty big jump year over year, and I would say that's another positive. And again, another argument on the side of the recession is not here yet. So you take some of those, and I'm going to add some more to this because there are other signals that we look at that ultimately are signaling on a negative side. So let's go to the first one. And this part really took a lot of people by surprise. And that is, we had another record high inflation reading of 8.3%. That's, again, a negative. When inflation is high and you mix it with some of the other indicators that they look at relative to whether we're going to have a recession or are in one, this kind of spells we're in a recession type thing. And then the biggest one people look at is the 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth for the U.S., and it is a common definition of a recession. So if you look at the GDP in Q1, quarter one, was down 1.6, and Q2 was down 0.06. So that would be a negative. That says that indicator right there says that, hey, I think we're in a recession. Now, like I said, that's not the full definition. So they do look at other indicators, and if I back up again to point number 3 and 4 here, where the unemployment rate is still in good shape and the workers' pay grew, those two positives are what's kind of getting some of the staunch, hey, it's not a recession, that's what they're basing most of this on. And the reality is, if you, again, look at where we're heading, I think it's relatively safe to say we're pretty darn close, if not currently in a recession.